You might not have noticed Tara Louise Montour before, though the attractive Canadian brunette is a 9-year member of the Virginia Symphony violin section. Born on the Ganawaki Reservation in Quebec, Montour is of Mohawk heritage. She's also North America's foremost Native American classical violinist, known for commissioning works based on Native North American themes for solo violin and orchestra. And that's how Trickster Coyote, Lightning Elk by Canadian composer Malcolm Forsyth came to have its United States premiere with Virginia Symphony. Elegantly clad in a beaded bustier with wolverine trim, designed by Darcy Moses, a Dene from the Northwest Territories, Montour first explained the different native rattles and high drums that percussionists Rob Cross and Scott Jackson would be using in the concerto, which incorporates traditional chants and dances. The first movement used a high drum and shimmering, tricky descending lines in the violin to establish its roots in Native American rhythms. In the second movement, Eagle, the rattles added a spooky sense to high violin slides like an eagle soaring on the whistling winds against quiet figures in the harp. The movement ends in sudden silence. Bear, the third movement, has a more traditional orchestral sound with timpani and brass flaring up, big and bold and powerful, melting into woodwind birdsong and high violin. In the final movement, Seven Arrows, Montour's busy, insistent violin evoked flocks of disturbed birds flying up, swooping down with strong harp chords underneath. Conductor Benjamin Rouse was using little flicks of his fingers to keep taut the tensile strength, while Montour's violin explored first people sonorities with double stops. Wonderful. Until the last century, there were few orchestral works for English horn, which looks like an oboe but longer, with a distinctive pear-shaped bell at the bottom. 20th century British composer William Alwyn wrote Autumn Legend in 1954 for English horn and strings. The soloist was the excellent VSO principal oboist George Corbett. Beginning with figures of low notes repeated by the strings, the music rose and swirled, evocative of autumn leaves in the wind, like a city park in late October. Corbett's amazing breath control was notable. Rouse brought out the lovely orchestral colors of this tone poem with barely audible basses, then cellos and violas, not splashy but melancholy and trailing off. There was silence, then a brief, quietly appreciated from the audience before it erupted into applause. The intimate concert at Regent University's Center for Performing Arts had begun with Wagner's Siegfried Idyll, which was attractive, tender, warm, even playful, a pastoral, not exactly what one thinks of in terms of Wagner. Rouse brought out the gorgeous woodwind section with French horn and flute in overlapping waves of intensifying sounds to a wonderful ending. The final work on the program was Mendelssohn's Enchanting and Enchanted, incidental music to Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream. If you know something about the play, the sounds of the scurrying fairies and Bottom's honking bray leap up playfully out of the joyful overture. The immaculate flute of Deborah Wendell's Cross soared in the lightly skipping but intense scherzo. The third movement, the nocturne, had darker colors of French horn and bassoon as well as the higher woodwinds. The work ends with the grandly joyful wedding march, hailing the marriage of Titania and Oberon, the fairy king and queen. Its almost too familiar strains had become a cliché, but on the Regent stage March 9th, it was fresh and exhilarating, a tribute to Rouse and the symphony players. From the other side of the Footlights, I'm MD Ridge.